I divorced her. Then married her ex's hot wife, now she's drowning in regret. I thought I had it all figured out at 29. Decent career illustrating for one of the last independent comic publishers that actually pays on time. A fiancé who understood that ink-stained fingers at dinner meant I'd had a good day. Parents who still acted like newlyweds after 30 years. Sonia and I had been together 4 years, engaged for 8 months. She worked as a set designer for local theater productions, not Broadway money, but she loved it. We'd met when her company commissioned artwork for promotional materials. She'd walked into my studio, taken one look at my disaster of a workspace, and said, "This is exactly the kind of chaos I can work with." The engagement party 2 months ago should have been my first real warning. Not the party itself, that went perfectly. Mom's catering company handled everything while Dad played host like he was born for it. Gerald had always been the charmer in the family. Patent attorney for pharmaceutical companies, the kind of job that sounds boring until you hear about the 7-figure settlements. What stuck with me was this moment near the end of the night. I'd gone to grab another bottle of champagne from the kitchen and came back to find Sonia and my dad huddled over his phone, laughing at something. When I asked what was funny, Dad showed me some article about restored Victorian homes. "Your fiancé has excellent taste in architecture," he'd said, squeezing her shoulder. "We've been geeking out about preservation techniques." Sonia had smiled at me, but something felt rehearsed about it. Like when actors nail their lines but forget to put feeling behind them. After that night, things shifted in ways I couldn't quite name. Sonia started suggesting we visit my parents more often. Sunday dinners became twice-weekly events. She'd volunteer to help Mom with prep work for catering gigs, arriving hours before me. Dad started offering to mentor her, connect her with people in creative fields, which made no sense since patent law and set design don't exactly overlap. Then came the small things that made my skin crawl. Mom travels constantly for her catering business, especially during wedding season. 3 weeks ago, I stopped by my parents' place to return Dad's drill. Mom was supposedly in Providence for a corporate retreat. Dad's car was in the garage, but there was perfume in the air. Not Mom's, she's allergic to most fragrances. Cleaning lady must have switched products, Dad said when I mentioned it. They don't have a cleaning lady. Last Tuesday, Sonia's phone buzzed at 2 a.m. The screen lit up our bedroom. Gee, can't stop thinking about earlier. I pretended to stay asleep, watched through barely open eyes as she deleted the entire thread. She'd saved the contact as just G, no last name, no photo. When I checked her phone later, yeah, I know, but trust was already circling the drain, the contact was gone entirely. That's when I stopped hoping I was paranoid and started proving I wasn't. The next 3 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. Every interaction got filed away, analyzed, cross-referenced. I started carrying a small notebook, told Sonia it was for comic ideas. Really, I was documenting timestamps, locations, contradictions. Wednesday afternoon, I had a deadline emergency that kept me at the studio. Told Sonia I'd be pulling an all-nighter. Instead, I parked 3 blocks from our apartment and waited. She left at 7 p.m., wearing the dress I'd bought her for her birthday. The one she said made her feel expensive. I followed her to a boutique hotel downtown. Sat in my car for 2 hours, watching the entrance. She never came out. At 11 p.m., I drove home, beat her there by 20 minutes. When she walked in, she was wearing different earrings. "How was your night?" I asked, not looking up from my tablet. "Boring." Helped Kendra with her lighting plots. You know how she obsesses over every angle. Kendra had posted Instagram stories all night from a wine bar across town. Sonia wasn't in any of them. Friday, I decided to test my dad. Called him during lunch, said I was thinking about surprising Sonia with a weekend trip. "This weekend?" His voice pitched higher. "That's sudden." "Yeah, found a great deal on a cabin rental." "Why, you guys have plans?" No. Just thought you mentioned having that gallery deadline." I hadn't told him about any deadline. The hotel receipt came next. I'd been helping Dad transfer files to his new laptop. He's hopeless with technology. A folder called Tax Docs 2024 was still open. Between legitimate expense reports was a receipt from the same boutique hotel. Same Wednesday. Room service for 2. Charged to his business card under client entertainment. His client meetings are all at downtown firms. This hotel was 40 minutes away. I took photos of everything. Built a cloud folder with subfolders, timeline, financial, messages, location discrepancies. Started backing up to 3 different services. If they wanted to gaslight me, they'd need to burn down the internet. Sunday dinner was when I almost lost it. Mom had made her famous lamb, the one she only makes for special occasions. She was flying out Monday for a 5-day wedding contract in Austin. Dad carved the meat while Sonia poured wine, their hands brushing as she passed him his glass. They shared this look. Quick, but loaded. The kind of look I used to catch between them in old photos. Wait. That wasn't right. Hey Mom, I said, keeping my voice steady. What's the venue in Austin? Might know someone who's getting married there. She rattled off details about the Driscoll Hotel, the wedding party, the nightmare bride who'd changed the menu 4 times. Dad and Sonia relaxed into their chairs. Monday night, I called the Driscoll. No events booked under Mom's company. No one had even heard of Patricia's premier catering. I knew what I had to do. And I knew exactly how to do it. Tuesday morning, I texted Dad about helping clean out Grandpa's old tools from his garage. Mom had been asking him to deal with it for months. This weekend? He replied immediately. Actually, thinking Thursday night. Mom's still in Austin, right? Could knock it out while she's gone. 3 dots appeared and disappeared 4 times before. Sure, 7 p.m. works. I texted Sonia next. Gallery emergency, would be home late Thursday. Major buyer wanted revisions on the entire spring collection. She responded with heart emojis and said she'd have dinner with her sister. Her sister lives in Denver. Thursday came fast. I spent the afternoon setting up. Phone recording in my jacket pocket. USB voice recorder tucked behind old paint cans on the shelf. Even positioned my dash cam to catch the driveway through the garage window. Told myself I was being thorough. Really, I just needed ironclad proof that my world was ending. I arrived at 6:30, parked down the street, and waited. At 6:47, Sonia's Honda pulled into my parents' driveway. She had her own key now. Dad had given her one for emergencies last month. I waited another 15 minutes. Long enough for them to feel safe. The garage side door was unlocked. I could hear them in the converted office space Dad used for his overflow files. Not laughing this time. Talking in those low, serious voices people use when planning things that matter. Told you Patricia's getting suspicious, Sonia was saying. She asked me about that hotel charge yesterday. She asked you? Dad's voice was sharp. Why would she ask you? Said she found it while doing the books. Wanted to know if Rowan had mentioned any client dinners you'd taken us to. What did you tell her? That you'd been mentoring me about contract negotiations. She bought it. There was movement. The creak of Dad's desk chair. Through the cracked door, I could see them now. Sonia perched on his desk, her hand playing with his collar. My father, the man who taught me about integrity, looking up at her like she hung the moon. 6 more months, Sonia said. After the wedding, we'll have access to everything. The trust fund releases on his 30th birthday. Then we can. Stop talking about it like it's just business. Dad pulled her closer. You know this is more than that. Is it, though? You said yourself, Rowan's too trusting. Just like Patricia. They deserve each other. My hand found the doorknob. I turned it slowly, quietly. 1 breath. 2. Then pushed it open like I was just walking in normally. They jerked apart so fast that Sonia nearly fell off the desk. Dad's face went from red to white in seconds. Hey, I said, voice perfectly calm. Thought I'd find you here. Mom called. She's coming home early. Flight lands in an hour. I turned and walked out, leaving them scrambling. Got in my car and drove away, nice and steady. Made it 3 blocks before I had to pull over. My phone was still recording. Everything they'd said. Everything I'd seen. Time to burn it all down. I didn't go home. Checked into a motel, paid cash, and spent the next 72 hours building my case like I was preparing for war. First, I edited the recordings. Cut them down to the essential parts, no room for misinterpretation. Gerald admitting to the affair. Sonia talking about my trust fund. The timeline of their deception. I made copies on 3 USB drives, uploaded everything to multiple cloud services, and created an anonymous email account. The packages came next. Different versions for different recipients. For Gerald's law firm partners, I included the hotel receipts charged to his business card, the recordings discussing using company resources for personal meetings, and a helpful note about potential ethics violations. The State Bar Association got the same package with additional documentation about misuse of client entertainment funds. Sonia's parents received a hand-delivered USB drive. I waited until their anniversary dinner. They'd posted about it on Facebook. Knocked on their door just as dessert was being served. Her father, a retired judge, answered. "This concerns your daughter," I said, handing him the drive. "You should know who she really is." His face changed when he saw my expression. Took the drive without a word. The theater company got an anonymous tip about their set designer's reputation risk with just enough evidence to make them nervous about association. Attached photos of her entering the hotel, timestamps showing she'd been lying about her whereabouts during productions. Patricia's sisters, my aunts who'd helped raise me, each got personal emails from my real account. The subject line, "You need to know what's happening before mom gets destroyed." Then I hit the financial switches. Drained our joint savings, moving my half to a new account. Cancelled every wedding vendor, eating the deposits rather than letting her have the dream wedding funded by my family's money. Changed all passwords, locked her out of streaming services, utilities, even the grocery delivery app. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. The neighborhood Facebook group got an anonymous post about concerning behavior at the address, with timestamp photos of Sonia's car at my parents' house during mom's trips. Nothing explicit, just enough to get tongues wagging. By hour 71, I'd contacted 3 of Gerald's biggest pharmaceutical clients with ethical concerns about my father's professional conduct. Didn't make accusations, just suggested they might want to review their retainer agreements. At hour 72, I went home. Sonia was gone, probably at Gerald's, planning damage control. I packed everything I owned, left her things in trash bags by the door, and changed the locks. The lease was in my name only. Then I drove to my parents' house and left a printed copy of everything on the kitchen counter where mom would find it first. Added a note, "I'm sorry you had to find out this way. I'm staying at Dominic's. Dad's in the garage." My phone exploded with calls and texts within 2 hours. I turned it off, sat in my friend's apartment, and watched my family implode through social media. That's when Sonia's mother called Dominic's landline. "Your package," she said, voice cold as winter. "There's something else. Something you missed." "She's been planning something darker," Sonia's mother continued. "Check her cloud storage. The password is your anniversary date backward." The line went dead. I logged in immediately. Found normal folders, work projects, photos, tax documents. Then, buried 3 folders deep in theater archives, I found it, insurance. Inside were screenshots of every argument we'd ever had over text, cropped to remove her provocations. Videos of her practicing crying on command. Photos of bruises on her arms, date stamped from 2 weeks ago when I was at a convention in Phoenix with 300 witnesses. My blood went ice cold. While I processed this, the world was already burning around them. Gerald's senior partners called an emergency meeting within hours. By morning, he was suspended pending investigation. 2 clients had already pulled their retainers, worth $2.8 million annually. The third was reviewing their options. Patricia came home to an empty house and my evidence folder. Her sister called me, she read everything. Then locked herself in the bedroom. We can hear her breaking things. The family WhatsApp groups exploded. Cousins who'd grown up with us chose sides immediately. My uncle, mom's brother, drove to Gerald's office and had to be removed by security. My grandmother, 93 and sharp as a blade, left a voicemail, "I knew that girl was poison. Your grandfather would have handled this with a shotgun." Sonia's voicemails evolved throughout the day. First denial, "This is insane, you're misunderstanding everything." Then anger, "You've destroyed my life over nothing." Then bargaining, "We can work through this, couples therapy exists." Finally, threats, "I'll tell everyone what you really are. I have proof." That one made me laugh. What proof could she have when I'd done nothing? Gerald tried damage control through his lawyer. Claimed it was an emotional affair only, that I'd misinterpreted innocent interactions. The hotel receipts suggested otherwise. His firm's forensic accountant was already finding more, charges at jewelry stores, weekend trips during mom's absences, a lease on an apartment across town. The theater company restructured Sonia out within 48 hours. Creative differences, they said publicly. Privately, the artistic director told mutual friends she was toxic to our reputation. Her father, the retired judge, sent me one text, "I failed as a parent. You did what you had to do." By day 3, Patricia had filed for divorce. Her lawyer, someone Gerald had once called ruthlessly efficient, was already freezing assets and hunting for hidden accounts. Mom moved in with her sister. Gerald moved into that secret apartment, which wasn't so secret anymore. I thought I'd feel victorious. Instead, I felt hollow. Sitting in Dominic's spare room, watching my phone light up with messages of support and shock, I realized something. Mom's catering trips, I'd never actually verified them until that Austin lie. Started checking the others. Providence, Baltimore, Syracuse. Her company had no contracts in any of those cities for the past 6 months. Then I found the charge on her credit card. Marriage counseling. Every single trip matched appointment dates at a specialist clinic for betrayal trauma. She'd known. For months, she'd known. That changed everything. A week later, I went back to the apartment to grab my comics and art supplies. Sonia had cleared out most of her stuff, but left her tablet charging on the kitchen counter. Still logged into her cloud. I almost didn't look. Almost convinced myself I'd seen enough. But that insurance folder kept nagging at me. What kind of person keeps insurance against their fiancé? I started digging deeper. Found another folder, hidden differently this time, not buried in other folders, but renamed to look like a system file. Cash_TMP_B. Inside was a single document, Plan B, if he sees. My stomach dropped before I even opened it. The first page was a timeline. Starting 3 months ago, detailing a complete fabrication of escalating abuse. Dates when I'd supposedly grabbed her arms. Times I'd controlled her finances. Instances of emotional manipulation with enough real details to sound credible. Page 2 had photos. Sonia with bruises I'd never seen before. Metadata showed they were taken during times I could prove I wasn't even in the state. One showed a black eye, dated from when I was at my cousin's wedding with 200 witnesses. Page 3 was a script. Her victim's statement for the police. Practiced, refined, annotated with notes like pause here for tears and mention fear for your life. But the worst part was the video. Sonia and Gerald, sitting in his home office. She was coaching him through corroboration. If they ask about Rowan's temper, you say you've noticed changes, she said. Mood swings, controlling behavior toward me. But Patricia will know that's not. Patricia won't say anything. She never does. Too concerned with appearances. Gerald nodded slowly. And if he has alibis? Abusers are clever. They know how to look good in public. You're just a concerned father who missed the signs. I sat on the floor of my empty apartment, tablet in my hands, watching my father practice lies about me. They'd planned to destroy me completely if I'd caught them. Not just leave me, annihilate me. The recording continued. Gerald pulled out papers, legal documents. Power of attorney paperwork, he said. If he's arrested for domestic violence, deemed unstable, the trust reverts to family control. As his father, I'd manage it until we're together officially, Sonia finished. Then it's community property. They kissed. In his office, planning my destruction, they kissed like it was already done. I forwarded everything to my lawyer, Patricia's lawyer, the district attorney's office, both their employers, and every single person who'd received my first package. Added a note, this is who they really are. Within an hour, Sonia was arrested for conspiracy to file false police reports. Gerald was named as co-conspirator. Their secret apartment was raided. They found more evidence, practice videos, staged photos, even a spreadsheet calculating my trust fund value. I thought I'd won by burning everything down. Turns out, they'd planned to bury me in the ashes. Sometimes the person you trust most and the parent you love most are capable of darkness you never imagined. Sometimes winning means discovering just how much you were always meant to lose. But at least now, everyone knows the truth. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.